I'm going to be beating every Super Nintendo game, at least everyone released in North America, for the time being. This challenge is going to take an incredibly long time, and I plan to do it all while streaming on Twitch.
Suck my dickens.
Don't expect it to end anytime soon. There are 720 games after all. I got inspired to attempt this challenge after watching a few videos by a YouTuber called The Beast 721. This guy's nuts. He's doing every single Nintendo 64 game, including all the Japanese ones, without speaking Japanese. That's too hard for me, so we're just sticking with North America for now. I really wanted to do the same challenge as him, actually. Nintendo 64's always been my favorite console, but I didn't want to steal his idea 100%, you know? I'm already kind of taking a lot of inspiration from him, so we had to pick something else, you know? It's only fair. The next decision, what console do we go with? There's so many to choose from, like, so many. Ended up tossing up between Game Boy Advance and Super Nintendo. At first I was really leaning towards Game Boy Advance, you know? There's less games I've played, so that's interesting. And there's a lot of weird, like, licensed games, which I thought could be really funny, bit amusing. Super Nintendo did win out just out of nostalgia, There's more games I like. I know I like a lot of Super Nintendo games, and I know I'm gonna have a great time doing it. Plus, there's a lot fewer games, so, you know, I might actually have a chance of finishing it. So you might be wondering, how am I gonna pick what game to play next? There's so many to choose from. Well, basically, the plan is I'm going to pick the first game myself. Second game, I'm going to get a random number generator, and that's going to correlate to a spreadsheet I have with every Super Nintendo game's name on it. Whatever the number generator generates, that's the game I'm playing next. Third game, I'll pick. Fourth game, number generator. You know how it is. The main reason for this is just, otherwise I'll end up picking all the games I like first and be left with all the crappy games at the end, and that's just not going to work. So, let's see how this turns out, shall we? Anyway, enough about the challenge. On with the games. Donkey Kong Country. If you don't know what it is, you've probably been living under a rock. Developed by the once legendary Rare and released in 1994, Donkey Kong Country would go on to sell 9.3 million copies worldwide, making it the third best-selling Super Nintendo game of all time. Donkey Kong Country was one of the first home console video games to utilize pre-rendered graphics. This leads to an incredibly unique and impressive art style. Now that we've got some of the development stuff out of the way, let's get down to the most important aspect, the gameplay. Donkey Kong Country is a 2D side-scrolling platformer, one of the most prevalent genres of games during the early 90s. The gameplay is fairly simple. You just run from the left side of the screen to the right, making your way to the exit. You can jump, roll, cartwheel, and ground pound. Donkey Kong is big and strong, so he can jump on bigger enemies to kill them, whereas Diddy, his smaller, more agile nephew, he just bounces off. Diddy does run much faster though, so he plays an equally important role in the team. Spanning across 40 levels, the aim of the game is to get back Donkey Kong's banana hoard, which was stolen by this derpy looking fella, King K. Rool. The game is split into 6 worlds: Congo Jungle, Monkey Mines, Vine Valley, Gorilla Glacier, Kremlings Industries Inc., and Chimp Caverns. Yeah, the developers really liked alliteration. We cannot talk about the Donkey Kong Country series without talking about the music. Oh my god, the music! Composed by the legendary David Wise with help from co-composer Evelyn Novakovic, credited at the time as Evelyn Fisher, who composed songs such as Simeon Sieg, Candy's Love Song, Voices of the Temple, Forest Frenzy, Treetop Rock, Northern Hemispheres, and Ice Cave Chant, as well as Robin Beanland, who added the track Funky's Fugue. An absolute banger. The soundtrack for this game nicely blends more atmospheric themes with catchy melodies and thumping percussion. While not being my favourite soundtrack of the trilogy, that award goes to Donkey Kong Country 2, but more about that later, this soundtrack does feature some beautiful tracks, including possibly the most well-known and beloved track from the trilogy, Aquatic Ambience. Let's listen. So how did I go beating the game on stream, you may ask? Well... Ah! Damn it. That's... Ah! So close. I'm gonna die. Oh! That didn't kill me, that was lucky. But that did. Really. I thought I was at the end of the level. But I'm not going to save state midway through a level. God damn it. It didn't start out so bad though. I came into this incredibly confident, flying through the first world without a single death, and in a mere 12 minutes and 48 seconds, I was on fire! Even going so far as to talk about how useless bonus games are for free lives, because I don't need that many lives. I don't die that much. Right? Damn it. Fucked it. That did. We're close. It's at the end of the level. My confidence was short-lived though. Enter World 2, Monkey Mines. Level 1, Winky's Walkway. Nice and easy. No deaths, no trouble whatsoever. On to Level 2, Minecart Carnage. This level, on the other hand, is not too easy. This level sucks. I started out with 24 lives. After a grueling, death-filled 9 minutes, it felt more like an eternity though. I came out of there with 15 lives. I definitely died a lot more than 9 times. I just gained a few extra lives along the way, you know. The rest of Monkey Mines with no match for me. I finished off Necky and his nuts at a respectable 35 minutes of playtime. With that, we're off to Vine Valley. I smashed through Vulture Culture with ease. Next up, Treetop Town. Yet again, the second level of the world is the one that gives me the grief. Starting with 19 lives? Didn't suspect a thing. Nah, thought this was going to be a breeze. But man, the barrels? The barrels! I died again. Kill me, that was lucky. That did. Crap. Oh, I jumped too early. After an infuriating 10 minutes, I got out of there with only 10 lives left. But my pride, it had taken a hit that I may never recover from. The next few levels of Vine Valley were far more kind to me, with nothing too notable happening really. It would not be right for me to talk about this world without talking about my favourite enemy in the whole game. They make their first appearance in this world after all. During Orangutan Gang, a beautiful level I might add, this level has a beautiful backdrop with the sun setting the further into the level you get. That's not what we're here to talk about though, we're here to talk about the coolest enemy in the game, Manky Kong. These poor fellas, they're the Kong outcasts, the rejects, the unwanted family member that everyone just pretends doesn't exist. Angry because their hair's falling out and they just want to come to family dinners. These guys will yeet barrels at you when you get close.
Hey Tara, you want some? This bitch empty! Yeet!
I do always feel a little bit guilty though. These poor orangutans, they just want to be loved. They just want to be part of the family, you know? Anyway, to lighten the mood, let's talk about how much I suck at this game, yeah? Next up was Clam City, and right as we hit the 1 hour mark of gameplay. Now I remember this level feeling like I was stuck in it for ages, really struggling, you know? Looking back at the footage though, that wasn't actually the case. It only took me 3 minutes and 48 seconds to get through it. I don't know why it felt like such a struggle to me. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? I took out Bumblebee Rumble, this world's boss level, with very little trouble, only losing 1 life, and then we shot off to the next world, Gorilla Glacier. This is where the game starts to ramp up in difficulty. No longer was I getting through most levels without losing a life. I was starting to die multiple times on every level I encountered. This world did go by without too much of interest happening though. I was having a chat with an old friend of mine on stream, not really paying too much attention to the game, just kind of autopiloting, I guess. There weren't any levels that gave me too much trouble, nowhere near the trouble that Minecart Carnage and Treetop Town had given me, you know? Soon we're up to the boss level, Really Naughty Rampage. A simple beaver boss, really. You just need to jump on his head as he bounces around, make some goofy laugh. It's real simple. Took me a few seconds to finish. And this is the last world, and then it's the boss fight. I was wrong, as I so often am. This beautiful piece of land is Kremcroc Industries Inc. This world is made up of factories and polluted lakes, showing off the terrible impact that the evil King K. Rool and his minions have had on DK Isle since they took over. It's kind of depressing when you think about it, really. It does have a banging soundtrack though. With the introduction of the track Fear Factory, I like to think this song was named after that amazing metal band from the same time who formed back in '89. Makes sense. Oil Drum Alley was first up, and a nice introduction to the world, not too tough. After that was Trick Track Trek, a great name and an even better level. The premise of this level is you ride a, well, I don't know exactly what it is. It's sort of a treadmill, I guess. Some weird contraption anyway. Making this level some sort of an auto-scroller. It was pretty easy actually, but a nice change of pace for this point in the game. Elevator Antics, the third level of the world. Now this was a bit of a struggle. I died so many times. They're all really stupid deaths too. I think I was starting to get a bit impatient by this point, if I'm honest. This marks the point where I first started using save states to cheese the life system a little bit. I ran out of lives and I couldn't be bothered starting over. So, save states to the rescue. I eventually made it through and I was thrown straight into Poison Pond, another water level. My nemesis. This was definitely the longest I got stuck on one level. I had one life, so I had to use the save states a lot, but I refused to create a save state at the midway point. That just felt like cheating too much. So every second death I was restarting the entire level no matter how far I'd gotten. It wasn't until I eventually found a hidden box containing On Guard the swordfish that I finally managed to get through this hellish level. It was about 20 minutes of suffering by this point. The next level? Another minecart level? Yeah, I was not happy about this one, not in the slightest. Lucky for me, it was actually so much easier than the last minecart level. After only 3 or 4 minutes, I was off to Blackout Basement, a really interesting level where the lights periodically turn off every few seconds. You might be saying, that sounds like it'd be pretty hard, really frustrating being blind every few seconds. You'd be right. It took me a few tries to get through this level actually. And off we go to the next boss. Boss Dumb Drum. That's the name of this level. An odd name for an odd boss fight. In this level, you face off against a giant metal drum. He has a skull and crossbones painted on him. He jumps around the place for a bit as you dodge him. He goes up into the air and drops enemies onto the floor that you have to take out. The weird thing about this boss though is that you never really have to hit him. Instead, you just take out any enemies that he drops on the floor and then he just randomly explodes out of nowhere. I don't get it, but whatever. I was disappointed. I thought I was up to the final boss. I was wrong, there was another world to go still. Chimp Caverns. First level of this world, it's one of my favourites in the game. It's fairly difficult, but it's got a really unique concept that I just really appreciate. Much like Trick Track Trek, this level has you riding on one of those weird treadmill machines. But unlike Trick Track Trek, these ones need fuel to keep on going. To get fuel, you need to jump up and grab these fuel-filled barrels. Say that 10 times fast, fuel-filled barrels. If you miss one, you're not likely to make it to the next one, unfortunately. If you run out of fuel, it's the pits for you. Straight down and down another life. After dying more times than I care to admit to a level I claim to really like, I eventually made it to the end in one piece, and I moved on to Manic Minces, with a time of 2 hours and 30 minutes. Manic Minces refers to the very large, spike-covered tires. They're somehow magically floating around this cave. Don't ask me how these tires fly around like that. Are they sentient? Are they enchanted by some magical force that's never shown in the game? Are they puppets being pulled on strings by some Kremlings hiding on the roof? I don't know, that's for you guys to decide, I guess. Anyway, after a few too many stupid deaths. Alright. What was that? That was shocking. I eventually finished this level too. By this point, I was really ready to have this game over and done with. My girlfriend had cooked me dinner like 2 hours earlier and I really just wanted to go and eat. I could not leave the game half finished though, so I pressed on, getting more and more impatient and making more and more stupid mistakes as I went along. The next level was Misty Mine. Nothing notable really happened during this level, but I wanted to mention it anyway. It's one of the few levels with almost no background music whatsoever, just the occasional ambient sounds of the mines. This leaves the Misty Cave with an eerie sense about it. The next level in this world that I really struggled with was Platform Peril. Nah, not the Mario Party minigame. In this level, you ride on floating platforms that have a set path before they fall into the abyss. This seems easy enough at first, but there was one pit that just kept getting me. There's a grey crusher that you have to throw a barrel at. That's the only way you can kill him. If you miss with that barrel, that's it, dead. I missed many times. Eventually, I prevailed through though, and I was onto the boss for this world, Necky Senior. A super easy boss fight, just jump on his beak, avoid his nuts, you know, the usual.
Excuse me, what the fuck?
No deaths on this boss. And at 2 hours and 55 minutes, we're up to the final boss fight, King K. Rool. Final boss fight, and then I can go have my dinner. Now, I remember this fight being pretty easy. I don't know if it was just me being in a hurry to go eat, or having played the entire game from start to finish so far, maybe even a couple of cheeky beers I'd had by this point, but this boss fight took me way longer than I expected. Death after death, I was just getting more and more desperate to get this over and done with. As much as I enjoy the boss fight and this whole game, I was ready to be done. Not fooled by these silly fake credits spelt with a K and full of Kremlings. I knew it wasn't really over, but it was soon gonna be over. Damn it! I got too cocky. Over as in, I died again. Back to the start of the boss fight. After persisting for a while, I made it to the real end. At 3 hours and 7 minutes, I jumped on that crocodile's head for the final time. Sweet relief and time for dinner.
I wonder what's for dinner.
Now to the review section of the video. Finally, it goes without saying that I adore this game. It really has withstood the test of time. Feels just as good to play today as it did the day it came out. The graphics may have aged, but they are still unique enough to have this nice charm about them. They sure held up better than a lot of older games from this era anyway. As I've said multiple times this video and constantly throughout the stream, the music in this game is amazing. Perfectly encapsulating the mood of each level, this game would not be the same without the soundtrack. Donkey Kong Country is a great game that I'm going to go back to time and time again. It's a great little platform that you can pick up and play for a few hours, maybe even beat it in a few hours, and it just gives this great sense of nostalgia. So with all that out of the way, let's get on to the ratings. Gameplay, I give this game a 7.5 out of 10. It's really enjoyable, the controls are responsive, you never feel like a death is unfair. There's definitely some room for improvement though. At least as far as the unique level types go, they cover a lot more of that in the sequels. Music, I give it an 8. I've been raving about the music this whole video and I'm not even going to give it a 10. Yeah, that's right. The sequels actually improve on this amazing soundtrack and provide more memorable tracks, so I don't think it's really fair to give this game a 10. The graphics are a strong 8.5. Obviously only comparing this to other Super Nintendo games since it's not really fair to compare it to more modern titles. This game really does hold up nicely in the graphics department, especially due to the 3D models they used to create the sprites. That just leaves my overall rating for the game. Overall, this game gets an 8 out of 10 for me. It's up there with some of my favourite games. That's not just the nostalgia talking either. It's an incredibly well-made game that stands the test of time. There's always room for improvement though, so keep an eye out on my future reviews of Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3 to see if they manage to improve on this already brilliant game. Spoiler alert, they do. Thank you guys so much for watching and sticking around till the end of the video. I had a blast making it, and I really enjoyed streaming it. I cannot wait to start on the next one. If you've enjoyed what you've seen and you want to find out what I'm playing next time, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you could give it a like. If you didn't enjoy it, give it a dislike. It's up to you. Once again, thank you guys so much for sticking around till the end, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next one.